Yorkshire derbies are always fun at Ellen Road, and today was no exception. 3-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. Although, was that really a fair scoreline? Probably not. 3-0 flatters Leeds a little bit. We did create a lot of chances. I'm going to come on to those. We'll speak about the game in detail. But I thought Sheffield were okay today. They had some 10-minute spells where they looked decent, but for the majority of the game, Leeds were in complete control. And that is something that I absolutely love to see, just like that ball from Rothwell over to Aronson for the first goal. The keeper could have done a little bit better. Spills the ball out into the box so Solomon can pick it up and put it away. I've heard a bit of chatter online saying, oh, is that a mistake from the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper? I wouldn't particularly say it's a mistake when he had no option. He was coming out, he tried to collect the ball to a certain extent, he just had to stop it, otherwise Aronson had an easy chance to put away anyway. So not too big a problem on his part, in my opinion, but nice and calm from Solomon to place the ball in the back of the net. But to be honest, from that point, the first half was relatively boring. Leeds had a few half chances. Dan James had a shot from the edge of the box. I actually think the next best chance of the game, or that half, came for Sheffield Wednesday when they were practically one-on-one in the Leeds area, and Ethan Ampadu put in a cracking sliding tackle to win the ball back. I must admit, seeing him back at centre-back makes me remember how much we missed him. Obviously, a real big problem that Pascal Strike's out injured, and if that injury is set to last more than the expected 3 weeks, Leeds really need to look at getting some backup in that position, because Woba can play there, yes, Ampadu can play there, yes, but is that enough for a title challenging team? I'm not sure, and Ampadu might have to step into midfield at some point, so if Struijk is out for a while, that's something to think about. But great defensive performance today, of course, to keep a clean sheet against Sheffield Wednesday, who I quite like the look of most of the time. I quite like the way they play football. Obviously, a huge rivalry there, and I loved every second of beating them. But Danny Roll's a fantastic manager. I've got to be honest about that one. I actually think I'd take him at Leeds half the time. We're top of the league, so not right now. But I think if Daniel Farke was to mess this up and leave, Danny Roll is certainly somebody that I'd be tapping up. And I respect the fact that he's kind of chosen to stay at Sheffield. Obviously, Southampton were meant to be in for him not too long ago. I'm sure Leicester, etc., thought about him and spoke to him. And he's stayed with Chanzeri and Sheffield Wednesday, who are in a real sticky position. But we'll get back to the game. First half kind of drowns out. I would say that I thought Sheffield were on the ground a lot. It was very stop-start. I think the ref did a pretty poor job at keeping the game flowing, especially in the first half. It seemed like every 3 seconds there was a foul, and I don't know, it seemed very broken up, very derby-like, but not in a aggressive way, more in a fouls that didn't need to be been given every 13 seconds for no apparent reason. So we'll move on to the second half. One thing I want to say kind of flows across both halves is I'm hearing a lot of hate still for Brendan Aronson, and I will admit in this game there were a few moments where he could have released the ball quicker, he could have got that last pass off, maybe his final decision making isn't as good as it's supposed to be. But Leeds fans, be honest with me, is there anyone that we really have in the team, bar him and the wingers, that actually take the ball and run forward with it? Because it's easy to say, oh, he's not getting that last pass off maybe 30-40% of the time. He isn't, but he's also the only one of our more central midfielders that picks the ball up and carries it forward and actually tries progressing play. I'm getting a little bit bored of this rhetoric that he's not good enough. He's had loads of goal involvements this season. He's played a pivotal part, and Farke is clearly a massive fan of him. I think we need to let go. We need to let go of that hatred and just let him do his thing, because today, especially in the first half, he was one of our star men. It's getting a little bit boring now. But away from Aronson, I thought that Dan James had a fantastic game today. Down the right-hand side, there was one ball he put into Bogle, he didn't quite control it, and then he put the pass across, I believe, to Ramazani, who made it 2-0 with a finish that was just incredible. He captured the ball, nearly lost it, spun, nearly lost it, and I don't know how on the turn he's managed to get it into the far corner, but it's a fantastic finish from him. And that's 2 goals in 2 games, obviously one against Harrogate in the FA Cup, so it doesn't excite me so much, but great to see him back, a really good option. And it gives us a problem because Solomon's been playing well, James has been playing well, Ramazani's looks like he's back on form. Nonto hasn't had the killer season that I wanted from him, but he's still a fantastic option. So we've got 4 really good wingers who would start for pretty much any championship and even probably a few Premier League teams. Great problem to have. Ramazani makes it 2-0. And then we'll touch on the third goal before I give some more overall thoughts on the second half. And that third goal was another Ramazani shot with a lovely little kind of swiping back heel from Tanaka. What a boy Tanaka is. 2 goals in the last 2 league games. Absolute belters, both of them as well. Obviously, the whole one from the edge of the box, you would call that more of a belter. But this one, fantastic knowledge and a bit of skill there to put it in. Tanaka is the most unexpected signing of the season from me. A couple mil from the Bundesliga. Who would have thought that he'd turn into one of the best central midfielders in the Championship? I hope he can keep this form up. And this is what I was saying. We have lots of problems in the squad because even when Strauch's back or if we get another centre-back, does Ampadu get in that midfield? Because I'm really not sure. Rothwell didn't have the best game today, but he put that crossover for the first goal or that pass over for the first goal. That's all he really needs to do. As long as he has a couple good passes and doesn't mess anything up, then I'm fine with that. If everyone's fit, does Ampadu start? Let me know in the comments. It's a tough question. If you are a football fan, a Leeds United fan, or just love football in general, remember to hit like and subscribe. But the game as a whole, I thought, as I said at the start, the scoreline was very flattering for Leeds. We were the better team, but Sheffield, they didn't deserve a point, but probably 1 or 2-0 was about right. I'm not sure where I expect them to finish this season. Obviously, Chanzeri's probably not going to spend any money in January, and their squad is quite old, quite poor. You see Barry Bannon getting quite angry at the goalkeeper, getting angry at other players throughout. I mean, he's a little goblin, so it's funny to see, but he's probably their best player. It pains me that Barry Bannon is still quite good at his old pensioner age, but he manages to put it about still. He's got a fantastic pass on him. I just don't think that they've got the team to actually get into the playoffs. I think they'll probably finish in the top half of the league. Let me know, Sheffield fans, what's your aspirations at this point? Because you've got one of the best managers in the league, but a squad that doesn't match it at all. Do you expect playoffs, or is that just a distant dream? I would be expecting a little bit of investment from the ownership, but I know that that's not going to happen. And Leeds fans were chanting about Chanzeri a little. Minor setback, technical difficulties, but Leeds were chanting about Chanzeri a little bit today. And as much as it's funny from a rivalry point of view, I do feel for a club that have a pretty strong fan base, such good history, being owned and effectively driven to the ground by such a poor owner. I hope for their sake and just football in the UK's sake that they can manage to get him out of there soon. From a Leeds point of view, we're back. Top of the league. And one important figure to point out is the fact that we've got a 10 better goal difference than those around us. Well, 10 better than anyone in the league, but Burnley are the closest to a 10 behind us. And I think that difference really shows that we should be further ahead in terms of points. We're only 1 point clear at the top of the league. Wouldn't even really use the word clear to describe that. And obviously we've had a lot of goalkeeping errors this season. We should have beaten Sunderland. We should have beaten Hull. So if that had happened, we'd be 5 points and then it'd be looking pretty set on that we're going to end up getting top 2. That's not the case. Meslier did manage to get a clean sheet today. Not that he had to do much, but surely that breeds a little bit of confidence. There was a lot of chatter about whether he'd start before this game, and I just knew that he would. There was never a question in my mind that Daniel Farke was going to start Ian Meslier. And as I don't particularly like it, but I also don't particularly blame him. We're all pretty quick to forget that Darlow hasn't looked fantastic in his other appearances, bar Harrogate in the Cup. And Meslier has been starting for us for years. A massive change in the team like that probably throws the other players off a little bit. They don't know where he's going to be stood. Maybe Darlow's not as good with his feet. Impossible to say, but happy for Mez. Happy he got the clean sheet. And top of the league, it doesn't feel like it. It's such a tight race up there, and I honestly think this switching between us, Sheffield and Burnley is going to continue right up until the end of the season. I'm desperately trying not to write Sunderland off because I did it with Ipswich. All last year I thought Ipswich are actually going to stay up there. Surely Ipswich aren't going to get automatic promotion. I was saying all the time, they'll fall off, don't worry, and then they never did. So Sunderland could do so, having a strong transfer window as well. They might get another 1 or 2 players in. Sheffield look like they're going to get about 5 signings in, whereas Leeds are sat snoozing. So we need a couple players, an extra striker to back up Pirot, maybe an extra goalkeeper. I would like that. And someone to give Aaron some damn competition, because Leeds fans can complain all they want about him playing at number 10, but we do not have another natural number 10. Anyway, let me know what you thought about today's Yorkshire Derby in the comments. Please do remember to hit like and subscribe. We're back. Football content's going to be on a regular basis. Championship, Premier League, Champions League, all the football in the world. So hit the buttons, and I'll catch you again soon. Peace.